In the dead of night, Kuso's world turned dark. The village, once his home, had cast him out. Alone and burdened with guilt, he stumbled through the forest. But as he sat in the thickening darkness, a creeping sense of danger made his skin crawl. He wasn't alone. The forest seemed to whisper secrets and threats. The sound of rustling leaves made his heart race. Struggling to his feet, he moved cautiously toward the noise, his fear growing with every step. Pushing through the thick bushes, he spotted something strange on the ground, a piece of paper. His hands shook as he picked it up. Suddenly, a rustling noise made his heart race. He cautiously approached and found a piece of paper on the ground. The message was stark and frightening. If you want to see your child again, come to the old windmill at midnight. Come alone. Fear gripped him as he read the note. Who sent it? What did they want? With no other choice, Kuso knew he had to go to the windmill. His child's fate depended on it. Kuso's path wound through the dark forest, where shadows twisted and turned, making him feel like he was losing his mind. Each step was heavy, as if he was walking through the wreckage of his life. The forest, once familiar, now felt strange and threatening. As night fell, the forest grew eerily quiet, wrapping him in a chilling silence. He stumbled and fell, the sharp gravel scraping his skin, a cruel reminder of his misfortunes. Under the cold stars, Kuso felt a deep, crushing sadness. The loneliness was overwhelming, and he could only think about his wife and child, whom he had let down so badly. He clung to a tiny hope that, somehow, they might forgive him. A day after, Kuso stumbled upon an old windmill on the outskirts of a desolate town. The creaking blades seemed to echo his turmoil. As he approached, a figure emerged from the shadows, a mysterious woman with piercing green eyes that seemed to see right through him, shouted angrily at him. "You're the one who abandoned his family," she said, her voice like a rusty gate. "You're the one who brought suffering to those you loved." Kuso felt a shiver run down his spine as she showed him a worn black book on the ground. "This was left for you. Read it and you'll understand the true extent of your mistakes," she said in an unhappy voice. As Kuso opened the black book, the woman vanished into thin air, leaving him with more questions than answers. The book revealed the truth about his past, the consequences of his actions, and the suffering he had inflicted on Tamara and Abdu. With a heavy heart, Kuso embarked on a journey to confront his demons, face the consequences of his actions, and find redemption. But the road ahead was treacherous, and the shadows of his past loomed large, threatening to consume him whole. Kuso continued to wander the desolate landscape, a shadow of the man he once was. The weight of his mistakes crushed him, and the vast expanse of his loneliness stretched out before him like an endless grave. Kuso's thoughts consumed him. He relived the moments he had abandoned Tamara and Abdu. The memories seared into his mind like branding irons. He saw Tamara's tears, Abdu's innocent eyes, and the devastation he had wrought. He ended up in a village far away where they did not know him. Years passed, and Kuso's life became a testament to his regret. He took on menial jobs, living on the fringes of society, always looking over his shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. His new wife's infertility was a constant reminder of his failures as a father and husband. The marriage crumbled, and Kuso was left with nothing but the echoes of his past. One fateful day, his new wife fell gravely ill, and Kuso's world shattered. He watched, helpless, as she slipped away, a victim of his karma. At that moment, Kuso knew he had to make things right. He set out to find Tamara and Abdu, to beg for their forgiveness, and to make amends for his past wrongs. With a heavy heart, Kuso embarked on a journey to confront his demons, face the consequences of his actions, and find redemption. But the road ahead was treacherous, and the shadows of his past loomed, large, threatening to consume him whole. As Tamara prepared to leave with Malik, Mikasi, and Mrs. Ada, emotions swirled inside her. The journey to the city was long and tiring, but Tamara's companions supported her every step of the way. Malik and Mikasi shared stories of Abdu's adventures, hoping to jog Tamara's memory, while Mrs. Ada offered gentle words of encouragement. As they approached the city, Tamara's anxiety grew. What if she couldn't remember Abdu? What if she failed to recognize her son? The uncertainty threatened to overwhelm her, but Mrs. Ada's reassuring presence kept her grounded. The next day, the group began their search for Abdu. They scoured the streets, asking questions and showing Abdu's picture to anyone looking. But nothing came out of that. Tamara grew weaker. She couldn't cope with the search. As they settled into Malik and Mikasi's luxurious home that evening, a private doctor was called, and Tamara started to receive the best medical care from that day. Her physical wounds slowly healed. However, her memory of Abdu remained elusive. Mrs. Ada stayed with her for 6 months, nursing her back to health and providing emotional support. Meanwhile, Malik and Mikasi took on the task of searching for Abdu, scouring the city and following every lead. They hired private investigators, posted flyers, and visited orphanages, but there was no sign of Abdu. As Tamara recovered, she began to notice Mikasi's kindness, patience, and dedication to finding her son. She saw the way he smiled when talking about Abdu, the way his eyes sparkled with hope. Mikasi, too, found himself drawn to Tamara's strength, resilience, and beauty. One evening, as they sat in the garden, watching the sunset, Mikasi took Tamara's hand, and she felt a jolt of electricity. "We'll find Abdu," he promised, his voice filled with conviction. "And when we do, we'll make sure he's safe and loved." Tamara's heart skipped a beat. No one had held her hand in years, and the warmth of Mikasi's touch ignited a flame within her. She looked up at him, and their eyes met, filled with a deep connection. As the months passed, their bond grew stronger. They shared stories, laughter, and tears, and Tamara found herself falling more for Mikasi, but she hesitated, unsure if she was ready to love again. Finally, Mrs. Ada returned to the village, leaving Tamara with a sense of emptiness. But Mikasi filled that void, and their romance blossomed. Together, they joined the search for Abdu, searching up and down the city and following new leads. Tamara's memories still eluded her, but with Mikasi by her side, she felt a sense of hope and belonging. Abdu settled into a comfortable routine with Rosalind and her daughter. They treated him like family, and he felt grateful for their kindness. As they continued their search, Abdu started attending school, making new friends and learning new things. Rosalind and her daughter tried every avenue to find Abdu's mom, from social media to community campaigns, outreach programs. They even enlisted the help of local authorities, but every lead seemed to end in disappointment. Despite the setbacks, Abdu's hope never wavered. He knew his mom was out there, and he was determined to find her. One day, while going through some old photographs with Abdu, Rosalind's daughter stumbled upon a picture of Tamara, taken during her hospital stay, with her mom. Abdu's eyes widened as he recognized his mom. "Where did you find this?" he exclaimed. Rosalind's daughter smiled. "It was in an old album. I think it might be a clue." Abdu's heart raced with excitement. Could this be the break they needed to find his mom? Rosalind's daughter uploaded the picture to social media, asking if anyone recognized the woman in the photograph. The post went viral, and soon they received a message from Mikasi, who had been searching for Abdu with Malik. Mikasi's eyes scanned the social media post. his heart racing as he saw a familiar face. "Malik, come quick!" he exclaimed, his voice trembling with excitement. Malik rushed to Mikasi's side, and together they stared at the picture of Tamara, Abdu's mom. The room fell silent, except for Tamara's soft gasp. Tamara's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. Where did you find this?" she stammered. Mikasi's face lit up with hope. It's a social media post. Someone recognized Abdu's story and shared this picture." Malik's eyes locked onto Tamara's, his expression filled with emotion. Is this really you, Tamara?" Tamara nodded, tears streaming down her face. It's me. The room erupted into chaos, with Mikasi and Malik hugging each other, screaming with joy, and Tamara collapsing onto the couch, overwhelmed with emotion. Abdu's picture, shared by Rosalind's daughter, had finally reached the right people. The search was over. Tamara's son was finally found. As they composed themselves, Mikasi grabbed his phone and dialed Rosalind's number. "We need to meet, now." The stage was set for an emotional reunion. Abdu and Tamara, separated for over 2 years, were finally going to meet again. The day of the reunion arrived, and Abdu's nerves were on edge. What if his mom didn't recognize him? What if she didn't want him? That morning, Rosalind and her daughter accompanied Abdu to Malik and Mikasa's home, which Abdu recognized immediately. As they entered, Abdu's eyes scanned the room, searching, and then he saw her, Tamara, his mom. Tamara's eyes locked onto Abdu, and she froze, her face pale. Abdu's heart skipped a beat as he approached her. "Mom," he whispered, his voice trembling. Tamara's eyes welled up with tears as she took in Abdu's face, her gaze drinking in every feature. And then she nodded, a soft smile spreading across her face. "Abdu," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Abdu rushed into her arms, tears of joy streaming down their faces as they embraced, never wanting to let go again. As they hugged, the room around them melted away, leaving only the two of them, lost in their little world. Abdu felt a sense of belonging he had never known before, like he had finally found his missing piece. Tamara stroked his hair, whispering, my son, I've found you." Mikasi and Malik watched, tears streaming down their faces as Rosalind and her daughter smiled, knowing they had played a part in reuniting this family. As they pulled back, Tamara examined Abdu's face, taking in every feature. "You're so grown up," she whispered. Abdu smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "I've been searching for you, Mom." Tamara's eyes welled up again. "I've been searching for you too, my son." As they sat down, holding hands, Tamara began to tell Abdu about his past, about his father, and about the journey that had brought them to this moment. Abdu listened, entranced, feeling like he was finally home. And as they talked, the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over their house, symbolizing the beginning of a new chapter in their lounge. It is at this moment Abdu remembered Mikasi and Maliki. He said in a loud and happy voice, "Uncles, I missed you so much. Thank you so much for everything, especially finding me. I owe you. Sorry for leaving unexpectedly." They nodded, only happy to see him. As Tamara and Abdu reunited, Rosalind and her daughter beamed with joy, knowing they had played a part in bringing this family together. They joined in the celebration, sharing stories and laughter. A few months later, Tamara and Mikasi exchanged vows at a beautiful wedding, surrounded by friends and family. Abdu grinned from ear to ear, knowing his mom had found happiness. But just as they were basking in their joy, a knock on the door changed everything. Kuso, Tamara's ex-husband, stood before them, his eyes pleading for forgiveness from Tamara. Tamara was taken aback, but Mikasi's calm demeanor helped her find her voice. Why should I forgive you, Kuso? She asked, her tone firm but gentle. As Kuso stood before them, his eyes brimming with tears, he fell to his knees, his voice cracking with emotion. Abdu, my son, forgive me. Forgive me for abandoning you, for neglecting you, for not being the father I should have been. Abdu's eyes welled up with tears as he looked at his father, seeing the genuine remorse etched on his face. He took a step forward, his heart heavy with emotion. I forgive you, Father, Abdu whispered, his voice trembling. But know that forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It frees us from its burden. Kuso's body shook with sobs as he embraced Abdu, holding him tightly. Thank you, my son. Thank you for showing me the power of forgiveness, he turned to Tamara and said, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but please find it in your heart to forgive me. I was so wrong. Tamara said, for the sake of my son and my healing, I forgive you, Kuso. Go in peace. Malik and Mikasi watched, tears streaming down their faces. They knew that this moment was the culmination of their journey, a testament to the human capacity for love, forgiveness, and redemption. As they hugged, the room seemed to glow with a warm golden light, symbolizing the healing of wounds and the mending of hearts. The moral of the story echoed through their minds. Forgiveness is not for the one who wronged us, but for ourselves. It frees us from the chains of bitterness, allowing us to love, to live, and to find peace. In that moment, they knew they had found their happily ever after, not because they were perfect, but because they had learned to forgive. Kuso, once a broken man, now stood redeemed, his eyes shining with gratitude. He had learned the value of forgiveness and the power of love. Though he couldn't turn back time, he vowed to be a better father and a better person. With a heavy heart, Kuso bid them farewell, leaving Tamara, Abdu, and Mikasi to start their new life together. Tamara, 3 months pregnant, glowed with happiness, surrounded by her loving family. A few months after Malik bid them farewell, off to work abroad, leaving the trio to welcome their new addition. 3 years later, Kuso's new wife gave birth to a healthy baby, a blessing that came after Kuso had sought forgiveness and changed his ways. Tamara, now a mother of 2, smiled, knowing that forgiveness had brought them full circle. Abdu thrived, knowing he had 2 fathers who loved him and a mother who adored him. Mikasi and Tamara's love continued to grow, a testament to the power of true love. And so they lived, a happy family surrounded by love, forgiveness, and second chances. Their story, once marked by pain and heartache, now shone with joy, hope, and redemption. Thank you so much for listening to The Forgotten Child. If you have found value in this tale, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until another time, be so blessed.